especially with Cushing out.
DeAndre Hopkins has also been someone that has had huge games against the Chiefs secondary. Hopkins, well, he did decent in week one. You know, they were bracketing him quite a bit from Chicago, and that's why Fuller had such a big game in the first week. Now that there's a little bit more tape on Fuller and they can see what he can do across the field, look for Hopkins to get a little bit more single coverage, not as much of the safety over the top. Look for Hopkins to be another guy to have a big game this week. And as far as Fuller is concerned, again, rookie. I personally wouldn't play him in a daily format, but if you've got him sitting on the bench, hidden away, he's definitely a wide receiver 3 for me for season 1. I've got Chiefs winning this game 29-17.
Okay. I have to admit, I did pick Fuller up. I was high on him coming in as a rookie. I thought he was going to do well opposite of Hopkins. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I'm not going to start him this week. I'm going to see how he does for the second week. And, if he can get, maybe 10 points this week, maybe I throw him into the starting role for week 3.
I would do that all day if he gets to 10 for sure.
All right, here's a big game. This one I think might be a game of the weekend, divisional matchup. We got the high-flying Steelers offense, names all over the field there, against the Bengals offense, names all over the field there. How you guys got this one going?
Yeah, these two teams, like you said, high offensive production in week 1, high expectation for the season overall. Both those teams look to be the powerhouse in the AFC North and fight it out for that division title with an early season matchup. We have this game a little bit lower scoring than most people are going to probably have it. We've got Pittsburgh squeaking out a victory 24 to Cincinnati 22. I would agree with you, though. Antonio Brown, play him until he doesn't put up 30 fantasy points.
Right.
I don't know that there's a player out there that can stop him. And another thing to note, D'Angelo Williams, when filling in for Le'Veon Bell, has had at least one touchdown in every single start since joining the Steelers last season. So another guy that isn't super high in the daily format. If you either parlayed him waiting for Bell to get off his suspension, he's a must-start across the board.
That'd be a good one for sure. Big Sunday night game. Opening of the Vikings' new stadium, I believe. I believe it's in Minnesota.
It is, yep. You got it.
Packers are coming to town. We saw Aaron Rodgers, do his thing down in Jacksonville. Sam Bradford is getting the start this week for Minnesota, reportedly. Now, they're saying that they're not going to officially make the decision till Sunday, but reportedly Bradford's getting the nod this week. Any chance we start a Bradford this week?
In a daily format, if you're looking for value at QB, he's definitely someone you might want to consider. Green Bay's defense isn't that great, especially their secondary. Jacksonville and Bortles, those guys put up pretty good numbers and started to score in the second half there. And that made it a very close game, just like we said it would be last Wednesday on the show. And this week, one of the things that most people probably don't recognize is Minnesota's defense has actually played very well against Aaron Rodgers since Zimmerman came over to be the head coach for those guys. So look for this to be a tighter victory for Green Bay than most would consider. I'd shy away from Bradford this week just because I think Simeon is probably a cheaper quarterback value play in the daily format. He's a little bit lower salary.
Probably, yeah.
He's playing a much worse defense than Green Bay, for sure. Colts defense is not very good. So look for Simeon to be a value play there. We've got Green Bay winning this game 25-18, and I really probably wouldn't play many, if anyone, in this game other than on FanDuel. You might want to look at Blair Walsh. He's had at least 4 field goals against Green Bay in the last 3 games that they've played each other.
All right, that's good advice right there. Most people don't consider their kickers. They just kind of throw somebody on the team and, try and round it out. So, yeah, that's good advice right there. Now, I know we just talked about, almost half the games slated for this weekend. But if there's a sleeper game out there, who's the sleeper game this week, excuse me?
Yeah, that's a tough one, In terms of just the sleeper game from my perspective, if you're looking for one that's going to have some points scored and come down to the wire, I really do think that the Oakland Falcons game is that game for you.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams don't have great defenses, so they're going to score some points. And it's kind of going to go back and forth. You've got Falcons traveling across the country. Look for that game to come right down to the wire. and Oakland to pull it out. That's a game I'd be sleeping on this week.
I agree. If there's an upset alert, a team that can make an upset this week, and let's not say the Titans, but if there's another team out there that could pull an upset this week, who could that be?
Upset alert for week 2 for me personally is Tampa Bay going into Arizona.
Okay, I like it.
Arizona at 0-2. I really liked what I saw to Tampa Bay last week. Their offense was gelling pretty early. They had some adversity with some turnovers in the first half and bounced back, and really never made that game close in the second half against Atlanta. So look for Tampa to go into Arizona, put up about 28 points, and certainly cover the spread, but I think they could be a team that actually pulls out the W.
I like that pick for sure. Game of the week for me, I think the game of the week is going to be the Packers-Vikings game. Sunday night, opening up in Minnesota, the purple lights, the excitement, the division game. But who do you see as the game of the week?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's going to be – there's a reason they put those games on Sunday night, right? It's flex schedule. They know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Another game of the week that you might consider would also be that Steelers-Bengals. You got both division rivalry games in both scenarios. But I think it's going to be hyped up a lot there in Minnesota. They're excited for the new stadium. And that defense is no joke, so look for that to be the game of the week as well.
Okay, 2 games there, 2 division games early in the season. I want to thank Jeremy for calling in, again giving us great insight and great knowledge from the dirtcannon.com. Jeremy, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, my brother. Have a great one.
All right, good night, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, so that was Jeremy from the dirtcannon.com. I really appreciate the partnership we have going. They're the official fantasy partner of Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. And we got Jeremy on Wednesday nights helping us with the fantasy knowledge, so you guys can go ahead and set your lineups throughout the week. We got Chris calling in on Saturday mornings so that we can go ahead and talk the college football game. It's just awesome stuff that's going on, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties there at the beginning. I don't believe my mic was on as we brought Jeremy in for the introduction. So thanks for listening through that and getting through that with me. And we got everything buttoned up now, so we should be good to go the rest of the show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the power rankings, color rush uniforms, WADA was hacked, all kinds of things going on. But let's get back into it. This is a story I just got to talk about because it really just touched me. It made me remember what I loved about sports so much growing up as a kid, and even still what gets me about sports to this day. And this is a young man, Bailey Matthews, 9-year-old. He has cerebral palsy, and he was competing in his first triathlon. In this triathlon, he swam for 109 yards, he rode his bike for 2.5 miles, and he ran for just under a mile. Now, most of us listening right now, including myself, couldn't go out there and do that just getting up off the couch to go do that. And this young man was so determined to not let cerebral palsy define him that he competed, and he did very well. He finished. And at the finish, it is when it became most inspirational to me. Because as he was doing this just about mile run, with his walker, mind you, he has a walker because of his disability. He gets to the end, he sees the finish line. This young man, Bailey Matthews, drops his walker, okay? And he runs across the finish line to do it. To not have that restraint. To show that he could. And if that doesn't get you, you don't get sports. That competitive spirit, that happiness, the joy you see on his face, go ahead and go Google it. Check it out on YouTube. Find the video. Be inspired by this young man. It was very impressive. Much respect, Bailey Matthews. Calvin Johnson this week. I told you guys he was going to be on Dancing with the Stars. I said as long as he was on the show, we would cover him, just like we did with Von Miller and Antonio Brown. Calvin impressed me. He didn't impress the judges so much. I believe he got 6s and 7s across the board. but way more personality than we ever saw while he was playing for the Lions. Maybe because this was more of a fun thing and that was his job and he was more focused and competitive about it. And, he didn't do as bad as I expected based on what his sister and his teammates were saying throughout the week after it was announced that he'd be on the show. I thought he'd be pretty bad. I thought he'd be stiff. He's too tall, yada, yada, yada. Nah, Calvin went out there and did his thing. He represented. He wore a little, Lions number with the blue shirt and the number on the back. And him and his partner did well. So, we'll wait till next Monday night. We'll see how he does. We'll talk about it again on the show next week until he's gone. And the little gymnast, Miss Hernandez, she did very well too. I think she will win the show. Gymnasts do very well on this show, and she looked like she took her floor routine, just sped it up a little bit, and took the flips out. So go ahead. I think she's going to win the show. Moving on to this story about Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not. AI and Shaq both mentioned Stephen A. in their Hall of Fame speeches this past weekend. If you don't know, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Yao Ming headlined this year's Basketball Hall of Fame class. And in their speeches, they brought up Stephen A. Smith. We all know Stephen A., he's very connected in basketball and NBA with different players all over the league. And various football players for that matter, too. He's been a long time sports reporter. He's worked in Philadelphia. Most people know him from his work on ESPN. I believe he's even worked in New York. So, he's an East Coast guy. He's got a lot of bravado. He's got a lot of confidence. And he does a good job at what he does most of the time. Every now and then it's like, okay, you got to be kidding me with your opinions. But it humbled Stephen A. It basically shut him up, which is amazing because nothing can shut up Stephen A. Smith. So it was good to see. Not only is the relationship mutual, but it's of mutual respect. And it's not just, he's the annoying reporter who hangs out and jocks around the athletes. In my opinion, he's very similar to Adam Schefter that way in NFL. I believe Adam Schefter has a very good relationship with a lot of the NFL players, and I think they respect him and he respects them. And I think, guys like that, it's nice for them to hear that the athletes also appreciated them throughout their careers. Oh, man. So here's something that I never thought I'd see twice in one weekend. Now, granted, it's on different levels of sports. One was a JV team in Wisconsin, and one was Monday Night Football game. But these bounce passes for touchdowns. 2 of them in one weekend. It was remarkable. So the JV team in Wisconsin, they're about 20 yards out, okay? Getting ready to score. They're in the red zone. They have 3 wide receivers set, tight end to the right, 1 running back in the backfield. And I think they had I don't remember where the other guy was lined up. Anyway, wide out to the left goes on a slant. The wide out to his inside runs a go route, pretty much. And quarterback hits the guy in the slant right in the helmet. Bounces off his helmet, goes into the end zone. The guy catches the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. I don't know how that game turned out. Didn't look into it. The play was enough for me to be able to talk to it. You guys hear about it tonight. Because if you guys watched the Monday night game with Pittsburgh and Washington, almost the same thing happened as Pittsburgh was driving down. They were at about the 10-yard line. Roethlisberger drops back, passes, ball bounces off of Coates' chest right into the hands of the rookie, I believe his name's Rodgers, and Rodgers catches his first touchdown pass of his career. Remarkable type plays happening all over in college football and in the NFL in week 1. We can all only hope that we have these same kind of exciting plays throughout the whole season. The same type of exciting shootout games. Like Jeremy said, that game down in Atlanta with Oakland, not Atlanta, in New Orleans with Oakland, that was a shootout. Brandon Cooks had a 98-yard touchdown at one point. Oakland goes for 2 at the end. you either, if you don't make that, people are calling for your coach to be fired after week one. You do make it, all of a sudden you got balls, and teams are like,